Good afternoon, students. Today we'll take up the next lesson, that is lesson number 10, and that is animal tissue. In this lesson, there is no deletion at all. So all the articles we are supposed to study. Okay, let's start one by one. Now here comes the animal tissue. Let's understand first what is tissue. Before that, we should know what is cell. We have already studied that cells are the basic structural and functional unit of life, isn't it? So the group of cells forms the tissue. Now here you can see this equation, this flow statement, that is cell forms tissue, group of tissue will form organs, organs will form the organ system, and then all organ system forms an individual or an organism. Clear? So let's understand. Now, here we are going to study about the animal tissue in detail. Tissue is a group of cells performing similar function and having similar embryonic origin and structure. So study of tissue is known as histology. The word tissue means, in French language, it means to weave, right? Now, group of tissues make up organs. I've already told you here that average number of cells, very interesting students, average number of cells in human body are 100 trillion approximately. And in this 100 trillion, there are 200 types of cells, okay? Cells are mainly of two different types. One is somatic, which forms the whole body cell, and other is the germ cells, which is concerned with the reproductive organs, forming the sperm and the ova. Yeah. There are four types of tissues that we are going to study in animals today. That is epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous. You can see these diagrams over here, how they, in general, how do they look. Yeah. So animal tissue, let's start. Here, classification. This flow chart shows you the classification of tissues, how it is. Here, four different types: epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. And here you can see the different types of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue are basically classified into two main types. One is the simple epithelial tissue and other one is the compound epithelial tissue. Okay, so we'll be studying all this in detail. Here it is just an outline like. Yeah. Now, general characteristics of epithelial tissue: cover organs and the body. Students, epithelial tissue, it forms the outer cover of the organ of the body and the inner lining of the cavities or the organs which are hollow. So that is what is mentioned over here. See, cover organs and the body, line body cavities, line hollow organs, have a free surface. Now, the most unique characteristic of epithelial tissue is that all the tissues, they rest on a single non-cellular membrane known as the basement membrane. Okay, and this epithelial tissue, it is avascular. That means no blood capillaries or blood tissue, blood cells are there, or this what you call it as blood vessels are there. Then cells readily divide. Then cells are tightly packed. They are very compactly. That means there is very less intercellular space. Then cell often have desmosome. Desmosome, student, is a type of cell junction. Okay. Function of this epithelial tissue is production, secretion, absorption, and excretion. Now, it is classified according to the shape, cell shape, and the number of cell layers. So here I told you in the beginning that epithelial tissue are of two different types. Basically, they're classified into two types. One is simple epithelial tissue, other is compound epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue, here you see it is mentioned number of cell layers. So if only one layer is there, then it is simple epithelial tissue. And if there are more than two or more layers, then it is known as compound epithelial tissue. Now, here you see simple epithelial tissue. These are the tissues that we are going to study. That is squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, glandular, sensory, and germinal. And in compound, we'll be studying about stratified and transitional. Clear? Now here I have given you in a tabular form the difference between simple and compound tissue. Clear? See, you can see this over here. I'll just enlarge this little. I think now you can read it more carefully. Here, first point is it consists of single layer of cells. Therefore, it is simple epithelium, and it consists of more than one layer of cells, and it is compound epithelium. All the cells rest on the basement membrane. That means that there is single layer and this layer rests on the basement membrane. Whereas in case of compound epithelium, there are many layers and only the basal most layer or the lowest layer, the layer which is at the lower position is only resting on the basement membrane. Okay. Then third point is it covers the moist surface where there is little water and tear. Little wear and little wear and tear. And here in this case, it is present in the area where continuous wear and tear takes place. That is, the wound comes and then again it heals up, student. That is the meaning of wear and tear. Then here, fourth point, it is secretory, absorptive and protective in function, whereas compound is mainly protective in function. So these are the characteristics that these are the points of difference in between simple and compound epithelium. Next, let's see. Next slide, simple epithelial tissue. Now we'll take up one tissue individually. Okay. Now, simple epithelial tissue first and the most common is the squamous, right? Squamous, see how it looks. It is not these are the cells. These are centrally placed nucleus is there. Okay. This blue colored line you can see. This is nothing but the basement membrane. It is not having any partitions in between. That I told you in the beginning that it is non-cellular membrane. Okay, this blue line you can see, this is the basement membrane. And then these are the cells which are having centrally placed large nucleus. Okay, and the margin of these cells, they are not straight or smooth. They are zigzag. They are little roughly. Okay, so this is known as serrate margin. It is not straight or plain. It is known as serrate type of margin. And they are, see, they're very tightly fixed. In the general characteristics, we read that. And here you can see that there is no intercellular space between the cells, isn't it? Either if it is there, it will be very negligible. Otherwise, there is no intercellular space. Okay. Now see, squamous cells are flat, they are thin, they are polygonal and serrated margin. They are compact or tightly fitting cells, and this appearance look like pavement. So therefore, it is also known as pavement epithelium. Then centrally placed prominent nucleus, which may be spherical or it may be oval. Okay, its function, protection, absorption, transport, filtration, and secretion. Now you can see here this simple squamous epithelium, the location. Students, for any cell that we are studying, we should know the structure. Okay, that is the description of the structure. We should know its function and the location. So first point should be description, second point should be the location, and third point should be the function. Just a minute. Now here when we study about the location, now if this epithelial squamous epithelium is lining the blood vessel, then it is known as endothelium. See the spelling. If it is lining the heart, then it is known as endocardium. If it is lining the structures like lungs, etc., then it is known as the serous. That means the serous membranes like pericardium, pleura. That means these are the membranes which envelop or which cover up the heart, here pericardium, here lungs, etc. Right? That line closed by body cavities. These are termed as mesothelium. So how many types of theliums you have studied? One which lines up the blood vessel. That is known as the endothelium. The one which lines up the heart or covers the heart is known as endocardium. And the one which the other membranes which are covering other organs, they are referred as the mesothelium. Then the endothelium is, squamous epithelium is known as the mesothelium. Okay, and alveoli of lungs. So these are the places where it is present or it envelopes a particular organ. Now, here next type is the cuboidal. That means the cells are cube-like. You can see this in the diagram. You can see this is a single layer that it is shown. It is the 3D diagram that has been shown over here. Here the nucleus is again, it is centrally placed. It is having a large nucleus, and the nucleus are mainly spherical. Okay, and they see they look cube-like, and these cells, they are located, they are situated, or they are present on the basement membrane. See here, you can see this basement membrane. Here also in 3D diagram also you can see these are cuboidal cells. Okay, this is the basement membrane. This is looking in gray color, that is the basement membrane, and below that you can see one pinkish line, that is nothing but the connective tissue. Clear? Now cells are cube shaped, centrally placed spherical nucleus. They form ducts, they form tubules and secretory cells in exocrine glands and in the organs like kidney. Then location is inside all the ducts it is present. Example, pancreatic duct, salivary duct, then proximal and distal convoluted tubules of nephron, that is kidney, in the kidney. Then function is absorption and secretion. Next type is the columnar type. Here columnar type, they are column-like. You can see the diagram over here. You see simple sketch over here. Their cells are elongated, they are column-like. You can see here in this diagram also, see the cells are elongated type. Isn't it? This dark violet you can see color, that is that is lavender color, it is the nucleus, right? And here this white color, this I will be telling you, that is the goblet cell when we study about the glandular epithelium. And these cells, that is simple columnar epithelium cells, they end up with finger-like projections, and that is known as the microvilli. The function of microvilli, student, is to increase the surface area for absorption. So where absorption? Small intestine. Okay, so these are mostly present in the small intestine. Clear? Now let's see here. They are tall, pillar-like, narrow inner endings of the cells. Then broad and flat free ends of cells. Microvilli at free ends. See, these are the microvilli. Okay, they are finger-like projection, and their main function is to increase the surface area for absorption. Then oval-shaped nucleus towards base. So the nucleus is pushed towards the base. Location: intestine, gallbladder, gastric glands, intestinal glands, and all inner linings. Then function is secretion and absorption. Next, ciliated. When we use the word ciliated, it is understood that cilia will be present somewhere. Somewhere means here again these are simple epithelial tissue. So there is only one layer of cells. See this diagram you see, okay, and these cells they are resting on a basement membrane. Okay, they are resting on a non-cellular cell membrane, that the non-cellular membrane known as the basement membrane. In this ciliated epithelium, the cells may be either cuboidal, like you can see in this diagram, they are cube-like, or they may be elongated column-like. See here, you can see this color diagram here. Okay, so here, this is more clear picture. Here I'm telling you, the free end, one end of the cell is touching the or is attached to the basement membrane. The other end is free end, and this free end bears number of hairy structures, tiny hair-like structures, and these structures are known as cilia. Okay, this cilia helps in the sweeping movement or in the movement purposes. Maybe inside it, like for example in paramecium, it is in on the body surface, so it helps in movement over the of the organism as a whole, of the whole paramecium, right? When it is present inside any duct, that or inside any tube, or we can say inside the body, that means it will be it is helpful to move the particular substance some substance from the one area to the another, to move that. It helps in pushing that material forward, maybe in the oviduct, okay, in reproductive structures, maybe in the nasal cavity, it can be in the buccal cavity of frog, it can be in the trachea. Clear? So cilia plays that movement, okay, smooth movements of this to push the substance or to push any molecule forward. Clear? Now let's understand this clearly. They are cuboidal or they are columnar. Their free ends of cells are broad and have cilia. Their narrow end rest on basement membrane, oval-shaped nucleus at the base. See, the nucleus is pushed towards the base. Then their location, I told you, it can be in buccal cavity of frog, it can be in the nasal cavity, it can be in trachea, it can be in oviduct, etc. Then comes the function. So what is the function of it? Movement, one major function, that is creating currents for the movement, prevention of entry of foreign particles in the trachea, pushes the ovum through the oviduct. Next is glandular. Now here glandular, again two types. One will be simple, that is unicellular, and other will be the multicellular one. Okay. So again, you can see this diagram, first diagram, you see here the cells are column-like, the nucleus is pushed towards the base, okay, and the free end is having microvilli here, and you can see this globule over, this is the mucus cell. Okay, glandular, it is glandular cell, it works like, it is the mucus, it is also known as the goblet cell. Goblet cell is the unicellular cell. You can see in this diagram now. This is the goblet cell, okay? Now here you see, this is the multicellular gland, sir. Okay, it is the multicellular glands. You can see these gray structures in between. Example, we can give us salivary glands, okay? Now here, columnar or cuboidal or pyramidal in shape, large and basal nucleus, cytoplasm with secretory granules, because glandular, their main function is secretion only. Okay, then it can be unicellular, example, goblet cell, you can see here in this diagram here also. And then multicellular, example, salivary glands, duct-bearing glands are there. That means exocrine. Duct-bearing glands are known as exocrine, and those which do not have duct are known as endocrine. So glands, they can be exocrine if they are having the ducts. They are known as endocrine if they are ductless. That means if there are no ducts. Okay. Then location, they are present in the inner surface of the glands, intestine, goblet cell, salivary glands. Then function, secretes mucus for trapping dust particles, lubricates inner surface of respiratory and digestive tract, secretion of enzymes and hormones. So any cell, any tissue you want to explain, student, you have to write the description, diagram, location, and function. You have to write in these headings only. Next, sensory epithelial tissue. Now within each sensory epithelium lies the sensory cells that act as transducers, which converts the signals from outside world into an electrical form that can be interpreted by the nervous system. So any sense from outside, any stimuli from the outside that comes as a signal, clear? And that is converted and interpreted by the nervous system in our body. Then it consists of modified form of columnar cell and elongated neurosensory cells. Now you can see here in this first diagram, these are elongated columnar cell, this pink color you can see, and this yellow color one, they are nothing but they are the sensory cells, okay? Now this first diagram is mentioned for the olfactory nerve. See how they join forming one nerve here, okay? Sorry. And here, this is for the auditory. 1 minute, I'll enlarge the diagram. Now I think you can see this here. This is the auditory nerve. Here you can see axon or sensory nerve. Okay, and they join, they form over here. It is known as auditory hair, right? Auditory hairs it is forming. You can see this blue color cells. These are auditory, these are hair cells known as auditory hair cells. And this is the nerve, auditory nerve, yellow one. Clear? And this is with regards to the eye. Just a second. This is with regards to the eye. You can see the photoreceptors are there here. Photoreceptor in which the rods and cones they come. You can see this off-white color here. You can see cones there, and these blue ones, they are the rod. So they receive, they are sensory over here. You can see these sensory cells over here passing. You can see this pink color ones, isn't it? These are rod and cones. They work as the photoreceptors. This is in the eye. Middle diagram is in the ear, auditory, and this is in the nose, olfactory. Clear? Now here let's understand. It consists of modified form of columnar cells and elongated neurosensory cell. Sensory hair present at free end of the cells. Then location, various sense organs like ear, eye, etc. Then function is perceives or receives external and internal stimuli, various sensory functions. In the nose, the sensory transducer are olfactory sensory neurons. In the ear, auditory hair cells, and in the eyes, they are photoreceptors. Next is germinal epithelium. Germinal epithelial cells, these cells or this tissue forms the covering of student. This is TS of TS of testis. This is okay. I'll just enlarge a little and I will show you. See here, this is TS of testis. This is enveloped by a layer of cells known as germinal epithelial cells, right? Inside the testis, there are certain tubular structures known as seminiferous tubules. Okay, these seminiferous tubules are also lined. You can see these cells over here. And moving the arrow mark, you see these are also germinal epithelial cells. These cells undergo divisions repeatedly, and then they form gametes known as the sperm. This in the center, you can see these are the sperm, and these cells, larger cell, pyramidal or conical cells, which are seen here in between, these are known as the Sertoli cell. Anyway, here we are concerned with only the position of the germinal epithelial cell. Okay, now the same structure is over here. You can see this diagram also. Just a minute. Okay, you see this diagram here. Same thing here. You can see this seminiferous tubule. These are the seminiferous tubule. So the germinal epithelial cells, they cover the outer cover. They form the outer covering of the testis as well as the ovary. This is the TS of ovary, student. You can see these cells. These are germinal epithelial cells. Okay. These are germinal epithelial cells. They undergo meiotic division and they form the primary follicles, then secondary follicles, and finally they develop into the gamete, that is the ova here, you can see, and which is freed over here. Anyway, that all we'll be studying in standard 12 when we study the human reproduction. Now here you see germinal position of germinal epithelial cell. This is germinal epithelial cells. You can see this, the outer lining. Okay. They divide, redivide, and they form spermatogonia, and finally undergo metamorphosis, and they form what is known as the sperms. Yeah. So this is about the germinal epithelial. They are present in the gonads. They form the lining of seminiferous tubule and inner lining of the ovary. This is ovary. This is the inner lining of it. Okay. And what is the function? It is production of gametes. That is the sperm in case of males, and ova or ovum or egg in case of females. Now, next we will study about the compound epithelial tissue. In compound epithelial tissue, we are going to study two types. One is stratified. The word stratified means strata, that is layers. Okay, you can see in this diagram. Now here in this case, there are many layers are there. So it is known as the compound epithelial cell. And the lowermost layer rests on the basement membrane. Okay, so now you see here, the basement membrane is there. You can see here this brown color, right? The dermis, this is the lamina, basal lamina. Now you can see the basal most layer is elongated cell or columnar cells or column-like cells, isn't it? Now as these cells, they move upwards, they become shorter, and then they become flat, and slowly they even get nucleus. There is no nucleus. Nucleus disappears. Okay, so this is the corneum layer, and these layers, they are known as germinativum. They are germinating. New cells are being germinated, and then they reach the upper layer. They become without nucleus, and then it is known as the stratum corneum. So these are the different layers you can see over here. At different, every layer is labeled over here. Okay, so many layers are present. Therefore, it is known as compound epithelial tissue. And where it is present mostly, it is present in the epidermis of the skin. It is present in the esophagus. It is present in the cornea, hymen. Then it is present in the vagina. It is present in the rectum. Present in those areas where often cells get disappeared or get degenerated, etc. And then again, new cells, they are formed. So therefore, it is known as wear and tear. Okay. The stratified epithelium consists of several stacked layers of cells. It protects against physical and chemical wear and tear. And obviously, when it is functioning, or it is present in the area where wear and tear takes place, so the function will, one basic function will be the protection. Next is transitional. Transitional means like it expands and it again comes back to its original position. Okay, now you can see here in this diagram, student, this is, I'll enlarge this. Transitional epithelium is a type of tissue that is designed to stretch and return to a normal state without damage. Okay, it works like an elastic. Clear? The cells in this stratified section of cells will change shape while they are stretched. Obviously, when they are stretched, see, this is in a relaxed condition, and these cells, they are in a stretch condition. Okay, these cells line the bladder and other parts of the urinary system. I hope you're understanding what I'm telling you, where changes in volume are common places. Now, beside this, I will show you one more diagram. Here you see transitional cell. See, this is in a relaxed condition and this is in a stretched condition. Okay, the cells, you see how they, here you see how the cells look dome shaped, and here you see how they're looking stretched type, isn't it? The structure is that it is multi-layered, right? Therefore, it is coming under compound epithelial tissue. Then basal surface cells are cuboidal or columnar. Then apical surface cells vary, changes shape to accommodate for change in volume due to stretching. Then function is it allows stretching, and location is urinary bladder, ureters, and urethra. Now cell junctions. We have completed with the epithelial tissue. Okay, now we'll be studying about the cell junction. As the name indicates junction, that means it is the meeting point of two different cells. Okay, cells are having their membranes, and these membranes, they're held together. Now, how they're held together? There are 5 different ways are there. One is tight junction, abbreviated as TJs. Other one is gap junction, abbreviated as GJs. G indicates for gap. Okay, and then hemidesmosomes, and then desmosomes and adherence junction. So these are the different types of junctions, or these are the different types of connections that two cells are having among themselves. Okay, that is they hold together. Now let's understand. Cell junction or intercellular bridges are a class of cellular structures consisting of multi-protein complexes that provide contact or adhesion between neighboring cells or between a cell and the extracellular matrix in animals. So that can be between two cells. It can be with the material or present in the cell, between a cell and the extracellular matrix in animals. Then cell junctions are the junctional complexes by which the epithelial cells are connected to each other laterally as well as to the basement membrane. They also maintain the paracellular barrier of epithelia and control paracellular transport. What is this paracellular transport, student? The material that moves from one cell to the another, or the substances moving from one cell to the another. That is the paracellular transport. Then next comes the cell junctions, are especially abundant in epithelial tissue. They help hold animal cells together, reduces stress placed upon cells. So when they're held together because of this junction, even the stress or the pressure that is created on a single cell is also reduced because it is shared by all. Okay. Now, as here in case of animals, we are having cell junctions. Okay. So same way in plants, the similar communication channels are known as plasmodesmata, and in fungus, that is in fungi, it is known as septal pores. Now, here, these are the small nodes for tight junction, gap junction, and desmosomes. Now, here you can see the diagrams, how it is. See, you can understand this one. This is the tight junction. See here, the detailed diagram is given over here. This square, this is they have shown focus this area. This is the tight junction. See how they are attached over here. Then this is the desmosomes, that is the neighboring cells, how they are connected here, right? And this window is for the gap junction. That means there are certain openings are there. See here, there is an opening through which the communication from one cell to the other, or the paracellular material can be transported from one cell to the another. Now see here, tight junction. At tight junctions, the plasma membranes of neighboring cells are very tightly pressed against each other. Sorry, bound together by specific proteins. That is, see, when the proteins are present now, they give purple color appearance. Okay, this is the conformative test. So it is mentioned purple in bracket. Clear? Then forming continuous seals around the cells. Tight junctions prevent leakage of extracellular fluid across a layer of epithelial cells. For example, tight junctions between skin cell make us watertight by preventing leakage between cells in our sweat glands. I hope you are understanding this when skin is mentioned over here. Next is the gap junction. Gap junction, also called the communicating junction, as I told you in the diagram, provides cytoplasmic channels from one cell to an adjacent cell. And in this way are similar in their function to the plasmodesmata as in plants. Gap junctions consists of membrane proteins that surround a pore through which ions, sugar, amino acids, and other small molecules may pass. Gap junctions are necessary for communication between cells in many types of tissues, including heart, muscle, and in animal embryos. Then desmosomes, here these are also called anchoring junctions. Their functions like reverts, fastening cells together into strong sheets. Then intermediate filaments are there, which are made up of sturdy keratin proteins, anchor desmosomes in the cytoplasm. Desmosomes attach muscle cells to each other in a muscle. Some muscle tears involve the rupture of desmosomes. Suppose if the muscle tear takes place, some accidental may result in the muscle tear. What will happen then? Then this will rupture. The desmosomes will be ruptured. Now this diagram I have told you. Now here more clearly you can see these cell junctions. See the cell, these are the two cells, these are the plasma membrane of the two cells, right? This is the nucleus shown, not concerned with it now. Now only you see the plasma membranes and see how it is attached, desmosomes, right? Here again, tight junction is there. See how it is interlocked over here. And here there is openings are there in between, okay? The apertures are there or the pores are there. Therefore, it is known as gap junction. Now, hemidesmosome. The fourth type is hemidesmosome. Hemi itself means half. Now here you can see this connection, student. Here the cell, it is connected to the basal lamina, that is to the basement membrane here, basal lamina. Here the filaments are there, okay? And the protein is integrin. You see, anchors epithelial cells to the basal lamina. Integrins are the cell adhesion molecules. This is the protein that is helping in the attachment or the fixation or forming the junction. The last one is the adherence junction. It is a junction that links cell membranes and cytoskeletal elements within and between cells connecting adjacent mechanically. Now here you see tight junction is over. Now you see this is the adhering junction. You see this yellow spot over. See how it connects. Okay. The adherence junction performs multiple functions, including initiation and stabilization of cell-to-cell adhesion, regulation of the actin cytoskeleton, then intracellular signaling and transcriptional regulation. So these are the multiple functions that adherence junction it performs. Now here, so by this we complete the epithelial tissue. Now we'll switch on to the connective tissue. Now connective tissue, they are again classified into three. One is connective tissue proper, other one is the supporting connective tissue, and the third one is the fluid type of connective tissue. In connective tissue proper, we will be having loose type and dense type. Then in supporting type, we'll be having cartilage and bone. In fluid type, we'll be having blood and the lymph. Okay. Then loose connective tissue examples are areolar and adipose, including reticular tissue. That means here they are loosely connected. The cells are loosely connected to each other. They have fibers in between. The fibers which form the loose connection. Okay. Dense means they are compactly packed. The fibers are packed up, and this forms the, it can be either dense regular or it can be irregular type also, or elastic type. Here, similarly here for the cartilage, it can be hyaline cartilage, it can be elastic cartilage, it can be fibrous cartilage, or finally when the salts deposits take place in the matrix, then it is known as calcified. And bones, they are the solid structures. Okay, they are the hard structures. Then blood and lymph, they contribute to the fluid type of connective tissue. Now, connective tissue general characteristics. Connective tissue bind, as the name suggests. You see, the name suggests to connect. Okay, so bind, support, protect, serve as frameworks. Fill spaces, store fat, produce blood cells, protect against infection, and repair tissue damage. Right? Then connective tissues have abundant matrix or intercellular material and have good blood supplies, except the cartilage. So the connective tissue as a whole is having good, it is vascularized. It is vascular, that means blood supply is there, but excepting the cartilage. Here, now connective tissue, as the name implies, it supports and connects different tissues and organs of the body. They germinate from the mesoderm. Very important, student. They are mesodermic in origin. Okay, or mesenchyme germination. This also we can use the word. Then the function is that it is elasticity, flexibility, and strength of the connective tissue is because of the fibers. And three types of fibers are present: collagen, white fibers, elastic fibers made up of elastin protein, and it is also known as the yellow fibers, and then the reticular fibers, which forms the network. Then connective tissue is made up of few cells present in the intercellular framework of protein fibers. That these fibers can be made up of protein collagen, or it can be of protein elastin. Accordingly, they are referred as the collagen fibers and the elastic fibers. Okay, and then collagen fibers, they are appearing, it appears white in color, whereas elastin appears yellow in color. I'll tell you the difference later on. These are secreted by the cells itself. Then the cells also secrete a thin gel of polysaccharides, which together with fibers makes the matrix or the ground substance. Student, like you see, just imagine a diagram of cell. It is having a limiting membrane known as the cell membrane, and this cell membrane encloses a substance known as cytoplasm. Okay, understand till here. Now same thing here also, there is a limiting membrane is there. Okay, and then some substance is there which is enclosed by this membrane, and this substance is known as the ground substance, or we actually call it as the matrix. And the matrix consists, or embedded within this matrix are present fibers, which are the yellow and white fibers, and also certain cells are present in the connective tissue. Next, there are various kinds of cells present in, I told you 3 fibers are present over there. Now here 4 different types of cells are present, in which the fibroblast and adipose are considered to be the stationary cells, that is, they do not show any movement. And then the macrophages and the mast cells, they show, or they are migrating in nature. Then fibroblasts are found in developing tissues and play an important role in wound healing. They secrete collagen and other substances found in the matrix. So that was the function of fibroblast. Okay, then macrophages, as the name suggests, they're phagocytic in nature, and they work as a scavenger. That means they wander through connective tissue, they clean up the debris and remove the bacteria and other antigens by phagocytosis procedure or method. Then different types of connective tissue, as already told, CT indicates for connective tissue. Okay, so connective tissue proper, student, please don't use the abbreviation like I have used over. This is only to save the space. I have done CT, connective tissue proper. These are of 2 different types, one loose type and one dense type. In loose type, there is areolar, adipose, and reticular. And in dense type, there is regular and irregular. Regular includes the ligaments and ligaments and tendons, and irregular includes the area below the skin or the dermis of the skin. Then supportive, cartilage and bone. Fluid type is the blood and lymph. Now here, areolar tissue. You see this diagram, students. You can see these bundles, these black, dark, thick lines. You can see these are the bundles of fibers. Okay, these are wavy in nature and they are not branched also. You can see that, isn't it? These are the collagen fibers. They are also known as white fibers. On the other hand, you see this fiber. You can see this straight line. and they are branched. See, they're having branches over here, you can see, isn't it? So these fibers are known as the elastin fibers, or they are also known as the yellow fibers. They are made up of the protein elastin, and they are single. They are not in bundles, or they're not in groups like this white fiber. So the thick ones, you can see, they are in bundles. These are the white fibers. They're also known as collagen fibers because they are made up of the protein collagen. Okay, and they are wavy. They are unbranched. Now here you can see this white one, this straight one. These are yellow fibers, also known as elastin fibers, because they are made up of the protein elastin. Okay, and they are branched. Yeah. Now you can find some cells over here. See these cells, you can see, isn't it? Now here the cells which are pointed type, you see here, they're having pointed tips here. Suppose this one. This is known as the fibroblast cell. Okay, it secretes the fibers. It produces the fibers. Then these are the amoeboid cells or the phagocytic cells, or also known as macrophage cells. Okay, you can see here they're having the blunt ends. They're having their processes are blunt. Here the processes are pointed. And these small cells, you can see, these are known as the mast cells. Okay, now about the fibers, I have told you that they're made up of elastin. They're single, they're straight, branched, and provides elasticity. Whereas white fibers, they're made up of collagen. They are in bundles, they're wavy, they're unbranched, and they provide the tensile strength. Then 4 types of cell: fibroblasts. They are large, flat cells with branching processes. You can see this, large, flat, and branching processes. They secrete yellow and white fibers. Then mast cells, they are large oval cells around blood vessels. They secrete heparin. These mast cells, students, they secrete heparin, which prevents clotting of blood. Okay, and they secrete another subfactor, also blood factor, that is histamine, and that is which helps in dilating the blood vessels. Okay, so that is the function of mast cells, secreting heparin and histamine. So please do mention the function of that. What is the function of heparin and what is the function of histamine? Then comes the macrophages or phagocytic cells. They are large phagocytic amoeboid cells. See, they look like amoeba. They are amoeboid. Okay, and it is phagocytic in nature. The last type is the adipocyte. These are few present over here. In next tissue, we will be studying about the more detail. Adipocyte sites indicates for the cell. Adipose indicates for the fat. So these are the fat cells. They are small. Okay, they are eccentric. Eccentric means the nucleus is pushed towards the periphery. It is not in the center. Okay, and it stores fat. It is packing material. It helps in healing process also. So adipocytes will be studying in the next slide. Then location of this areolar tissue is below the skin, around the muscles, bones, organs, blood vessels, and the peritoneum. Now here adipose tissue. Now it consists of the adipose cells or adipocytes. Now here you can see in this diagram, student, just a minute, I will enlarge it quickly. You can see over here. You can see these fat droplets, isn't it? See, this is the nucleus here, this dark one. This dark one is the nucleus. You can see here. Now these are the fat droplets. These are the fat droplets. What happens? These fat droplets, they come together, they fuse together, and they form a big globule. And this is now known as the fat globule. So when they unite together, they form a larger structure or globule. What happens? The cytoplasm and the nucleus, they move towards the periphery, such that the nucleus becomes eccentric. I just now use that word. Okay, see here, this is the nucleus. This is the fat globule. And the cytoplasm is visible as a thin layer around the periphery. And it is having less number of fibers. Okay, so it is full of adipose cells or adipocytes. Now here, 2 types. White adipose in adults has more fats. Okay, because having more fats, it appear whitish. And then brown one, like in inborns, it is having more blood vessels are there. It is highly vascular. So this looks like a pinkish color or brownish color. So there it is known as brown adipose. Okay. Then function is cushion roll, palm and vital organs. Good insulator it works as. Then major source of energy is there. Reserve is in reserve case it is there, and then gives protection. So it reserves energy and it gives protection also. So these are the function of this structure already I have described to you in the diagram. Next comes the reticular type. The first one we studied was areolar, then adipose, and now the third one is the reticular connective tissue. It is made up, see, the word reticular in botany also you must have studied reticulate, isn't it? That leaf, lamina of the leaf. What type of venation it is having, parallel or reticulate, isn't it? Parallel means like jawar and all, the lines, the veins are parallel to each other. And whereas reticulate means it forms a network like, it forms a mesh like. See here, the network it is. See here also enlarged structure. Okay, so it is made up of interlacing reticular fibers and cells that connects each other to form a network. It is used to bind together smooth muscle cells and to filter worn out blood cells and bacteria. It supports the internal framework of organs such as the liver, the lymph, the nodes, and the spleen. Now, we have studied about the loose connective tissue. Now comes the dense connective tissue. Now in dense connective tissue, you can see both are there in front of you here diagram. This is the regular, or we can call it as that regular dense, and this is irregular dense. Yeah. Now regular dense. In this, the orientation of fibers is regular. The collagen fibers are present between the parallel running bundles of fibers. See, you can see the diagram here, student. They're running parallel to each other. Okay. This regular arrangement enhances tensile strength and pores resistance to stretching in the direction of the orientation of the fibers. So because of this arrangement, they are helping to, they give lots of strength. Isko bolte tensile strength. Okay. And the example is tendon and ligaments. I'll show you in the next slide that whereas irregular means they are haphazardly arranged. They are not in a particular pattern like here they are parallel. Okay, they're not in a particular pattern. But what happens, it gives a uniform strength because it is haphazardly, irregularly, it is oriented or it is present, the fibers are present. So uniform strength it gives in all the direction. Here it gives only in a particular direction. Okay, that which way it is stretching, that direction only it will be giving the strength. But here it will be giving universally to on all the direction. This is the dermis of skin, and here we will take this example of tendons and ligaments. See here, tendon and ligament. Student, this you can see this structure. Okay, now here, these are the skeletal muscles. These are the muscles which are now what is tendon and what is ligament. First understand this. See here, this is the tendon. What is tendon? The one which binds muscle. See, this is the muscle to the bone. This is a bone. Okay, so this is the, here is the tendon. So the one which binds muscle to the bone is known as tendon. Okay, and the one which binds bone to bone is the ligament. See here, bone to bone. This is also a bone. This is also a bone. This is also a bone. Okay, see, right? And this is known as the ligament. So this difference you can see here, it is composed of white fibrous tissue. It is composed of yellow elastic tissue. Then fibroblasts lie in almost continuous rows. Here is it lie scattered. Then it joins a skeleton muscle to a bone. So this is the main point of difference. Tendon, it joins the muscle to the bone. That is skeletal muscle to the bone. And it is tough and inelastic, whereas it is strong but elastic. These 10 ligaments are elastic. Okay, see, you must have heard कि ligament tear हो गया, displacement नहीं होता उसका क्या, it only tears. Okay, so it gets stretched out so much that it finds it difficult to hold both the bones in position. Okay, so this is tendon and ligament. Next is the supporting type, that is the cartilage and the bone. The most interesting, the cartilage, it is soft type of soft type of supporting tissue, whereas bone is the hard type of supportive tissue. Okay, cartilage, it is a resilient and smooth elastic tissue, rubber-like padding that covers and protects the end of long bones at the joints and nerves, and is a structural component of the rib cage, the ear, the nose, the bronchial tubes, the intervertebral disc, and many other body components. It is a flexible tissue. Student, we are having vertebral column. Okay, between each, it is not a continuous rod. It is made up, this vertebral column is made up of small pieces of bones, and each such bone is known as the vertebra. Okay, and this in between the two vertebrae, and you see we can bend forward, we can bend backward also to some extent, we can bend left, right, isn't it? So this is possible because in between the vertebrae, which are the bony structures or the hard structure, in between these there is present a cartilage. Cartilage is present because a cartilage is smooth, it is elastic in nature, it is flexible. That's what I want to tell you, that where this cartilage is present. Okay, intervertebral disc, one of the examples I have given you here. Then ear pinna is there, the nose tip is there, isn't it? So all these places cartilage is present. Now cells of the cartilage, they are known as the chondroblast. Okay, cartilage forming cells, and these cells only form the cartilage. And chondrocyte. Now, as this chondroblast, they mature, they get converted into chondrocytes. So two types of cells you remember, chondroblast and chondrocyte. Chondroblast, which forms the cartilage, and as they get matured, they get converted into another type of cells known as the chondrocytes. Then abundant extracellular matrix is present. It lacks nerves, blood, and lymph vessels, surrounded by a fibrous membrane called perichondrium. Okay, enclosed within the perichondrium is semi-solid matrix, which is made up of, or it is known as the chondrin. The matrix is known as chondrin, and it is enclosed by a membrane known as perichondrium. Then cavities in the matrix is called lacuna. Each lacuna contains 2 to 8 chondrocytes. Now I'll show you a diagram so that you will understand more better. Now see here. This is the perichondrium. This pink, you can see this is the perichondrium, the outer layer and the inner layer. Okay. And these are these places, you can see this whole thing. These are the lacunas. Inside these lacunas are present the cells known as chondrocytes. See, you can see these chondrocytes, isn't it? Chondroblasts are also present over here. You can see they're scattered, isn't it? So the chances that there in one, the empty spaces which are present known as the lacuna, or the cavities in the matrix is known as lacuna. And these cavities, they are consisting of 2 to 8 different types of, 2 to 8 chondrocytes. 2 to 8 chondrocyte cells they are consisting of. Okay, so this is the diagram of hyaline cartilage. I will enlarge it little so that you can see it more clearly. See, you can see that this is the perichondrium. These are the chondroblast cells. They mature and they form chondrocyte cells. Chondrocytes are present inside the cavities. Cavities are known as lacunae, clear? And this whole basal or the ground substance is known as the matrix. Clear? Now see here, hyaline cartilage. It is glass-like. Now types of cartilage, hyaline cartilage is there, then elastic cartilage is there, then calcified cartilage is there, fibrocartilage. These 4 cartilages will be studying. Now this is hyaline cartilage. It is glass-like perichondrium. It is hyaline. Hyaline itself means glass-like. Okay, so it is having a bluish white color appearance, or it is pearl gray color. Pearl matlab moti. Okay, and gel-like it is. Then translucent cartilage. It is glass-like, it is mentioned, but it is actually translucent. Glass-like it looks, but it is translucent. It is not seen matlab to and fro. Okay, it has a firm consistency, very fine collagen fibers, and chondrocytes are present. It is elastic and compressible in nature. It is devoid of nerve and blood vessels. Okay. Then location. It is found on many joint surfaces at the end of long bones, in the ribs, epiglottis, nose, larynx, and trachea. Then function is its function is to absorb the shock. Okay, provides flexibility and reduces friction. Then next comes the elastic cartilage. You can see over here, it is yellow in appearance. Here in diagram, pink stain is shown. Then perichondrium is present, right? Now the difference between the 3 main types is that elastic and the hyaline is having the pericardium membrane. See here. But the fibrocartilage do not have perichondrium membrane. Okay. Matrix contains elastic fibers, that is protein is elastin, and few chondrocytes are present. Then location, earlobe, that is pinna, tip of the nose. And what is its function? It gives support, maintain shape of the body part. Clear? Then fibrocartilage, you can see the diagram over here. It is location is pubic symphysis, and it helps maintains position of vertebrae. Intervertebral disc is made up of fibrocartilage only. Clear? Now it consists of a mixture of white fibrous tissue and cartilaginous tissue in various proportions. Pericardium is absent. The main characteristic is pericardium is absent. And matrix consists of bundles. See here, the bundle, they're not individual like here. They're present in bundles. And if it is in bundles, that means it is the collagen fibers. Okay. Then you see where they are present, maintains position of the vertebrae. I've told you this, right? Then calcified cartilage, that means salt deposition has taken place in the matrix. So it becomes hard, it becomes tough. Therefore, the flexibility in the joints reduces. Old people, you see that they find it difficult to bend their knees, elbows, etc. Isn't it? It is because of the salt deposition has taken place over there. The synovial fluid is being reduced. So they find it difficult in the joints. Then location in the ends of the long bones, that is epiphysis, upper arm, you can see the near just below the head of the upper arm, in the heads of humerus and femur bone. Now we come down to the bone. It is the hardest connective tissue and helps in maintaining the shape and posture of the body. It protects internal organs. They are rich in collagen fibers and calcium, which give them the strength. So remember these things of the bone, that is, they are the hardest and they're rich in collagen fibers and calcium. Because of all this, they give strength to it. Okay. The cells of the bone are osteocytes. They are there it is known as chondrocytes. Here it is osteocytes. Okay. The cytoplasmic extension of osteocyte make tiny channels called canaliculi. See here in this diagram, you can see. See here, this is peristomium. Okay, peristorium, this one. Clear? Now these circles you can see, these are known as the lamellae. Okay, concentric rings are formed. In between you find this circle, this is the Haversian canal. Okay, now you see the detailed diagram of this here. I will increase this. This is this whole structure. This whole structure is known as the osteon. Okay, and see this is the structure of, this is LS of it. Detail you can see, this is the outer peristomium and this is the inner one, and inner one is known as endosteum. And then there is a marrow cavity. Okay, where WBC, where the blood cells are manufactured. Clear? Now here you see each osteon consists of a Haversian canal, and these are known as the lamellas. The concentric rings are known as the lamella or lamellae, singular and plural, I'm telling you. Okay, now these pink structures you can see, these are known as the lacuna, and inside these are present the bone cells, osteocytes or osteoblast. Okay, now one of the osteon is shown over here. You can see this. I'll just enlarge it. See, 1 minute, students. See here now. See these blacks. So this you can see, these rings you can see, these are known as the lamellae. Fine. Then in the lamellae there are present number of lacunas, and each lacuna consists of the cells, that is known as the bone cells are present in this. Okay, osteocytes are present, osteoblasts are present. Clear? And this is the Haversian canal, which consists of the blood vessel, which consists of the nerves and the lymph vessels. You can see this structure in detail. This is the structure of the bone. I have shown you all the three diagrams, one in general here, then one showing you the different osteons, and here one single osteon, its description. Then comes the fluid type of connective tissue, that is blood and lymph. We know blood and lymph are fluid type of connective tissue that circulate in the body and help in interaction of communication among all other organs. Okay, blood has no fibers, only ground substance, that is plasma, and they are having the cells, that is RBC, WBC, and the blood platelet. And the function, transport of fluid, nutrients, waste, and chemical messengers ensured by specialized fluid connect. That means this fluid type of connective tissue, they help in transport of the nutrients, waste, and the chemical messengers. What are chemical messengers, student? They are the hormone. Now this is given in just at random, at a glance, it is given that function of different types of connective tissue. Then muscular tissue, these are of, it is a specialized tissue in animals which applies forces to different parts of the body by contraction. Okay, it is also called contractile tissue. Nerves and blood vessels are supplied to each muscle. Large number of mitochondria are present in the muscle cell. Several muscle fibers together make the muscular tissue. Okay. Students, I will take up from muscular tissue in the next class, right? Because it's time for the next lecture, I think. So I'll stop over here. We'll start with muscular tissue in the next class. Yeah. Thank you so much. If any doubts, you can ask on WhatsApp to me.